So you end up with Boston, back with Brad Stevens, and it starts in a terribly unlucky fashion. I mean, just absolutely the worst possible thing happens, and I don't want to pile on it. Obviously, you had to live through it. That is nowhere near how you thought this new, I mean, it's your dream coming true, right? A massive contract. Now you're in a massive city, you're in a storied franchise, and boom, in the first quarter of everything, how your life is supposed to go, in your next chapter of your life, everything changes. And now the focus becomes straight back to rehab and getting back on the court. What has been the most challenging thing about that whole thing? And you literally stumbling out of the blocks here with Boston, both mentally and physically. The rehab was probably terrible. Mentally, it's probably tough to get over. How has been the process of kind of dealing with that, both mentally and physically?
Yeah, man, I can't lie about it. It's brutal. It's especially like you said, I made I gave up a lot to come to Boston, and first game of the year, go down, and I've never had a bad injury like that, so that was the first one. And so, thankful that we have the modern medicine that we do today to be able to, get me back out on the court, but also thankful to have a support staff that I had, and, having my wife and the girls to help you through it mentally, because there's definitely times where you just want to quit, and you're like, this isn't, this isn't fun, this isn't worth it, but it's a job, and you get through it. And I think probably the most frustrating thing was feeling like, I got back on the court, but not being able to, do some of the things that I had remembered doing kind of my whole life. And then when I was in Utah, and I think people also, so kind of that feeling of, okay, I'm back now, I should go right back to the way I was. And I guess people forget that there was going to be an adjustment period regardless of if I got hurt or not, because you're coming to a new team, new players, new system, the whole deal. And so on top of coming back from the injury, I had to deal with coming back, and dealing with that stuff, the new system and new team. And so this certainly was very frustrating. And, still doing my rehab exercises today on my ankle. And, I think it's going to be something I just deal with for the rest of my career. But, it's one of those things. It is what it is, and you got to try to just use it to make you stronger. Going to be exciting to get back out there again next year.
Did it scare you whenever you came back? Did it scare you where you're like, you know what, I've never had that type of injury before. Now I know what's possible. Was there a mental hurdle that either you're still battling right now, or whenever you were first getting back into it this past year, like, oh shit, this could happen again, or something terrible could happen again? Was that a mental hurdle that you were having?
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a mental hurdle. Basically trying to go into the paint and not just, shoot a floater, like trying to attack bigs, trying to challenge them at the rim, going up for an alley-oop. I remember the first time that I went for an alley-oop, and it was just in, like with one other person, nobody else was on the court. And, that took, I remember I went up the first time, and then like I didn't jump, and I was like, okay, hold on, let me redo that. Let me try this again. And, all those little things. And then even when you're practicing, like there's nothing like a game. So getting back in front of the fans, being in front of, the whole arena, and having the confidence to go and try to finish and attack the basket, like that was something that I didn't know was going to take as long as it did. And so for sure I was dealing with that at the beginning of the season. And I think I'm at a point now where it just takes reps, honestly. It takes reps of just doing it and doing it and doing it. And, I think falling down, getting bodied, and then landing on my foot awkwardly to where it's like, okay, yeah, no, it's fine. Like, it's strong, it's healthy. Like, I don't need to worry about it anymore. But your mind has to go through those mental reps too, not just, your ankle.
I didn't even think about you having to adjust to a new team too, like, because the signing happens there and you don't even get a chance to kind of gel. It's not like, okay, boys, when I get back, we're going to do exactly what we did. I didn't even think about that. You compound that with the mental hurdle and the physical thing. It's no wonder that you struggled this past, not struggled, but I mean, you didn't have the year you had in Utah this past year. And almost now there's a lot of drama in the NBA. I think the NBA might be the most drama-filled league of all time. But now with all of these things that are happening, moves and trades and opting out, you and Tatum are now the face of the franchise again. Is that something you're excited for, that type of challenge to be like, hey, I'm the guy up here with Tatum and Brad, but hey, I'm the guy of this storied franchise in Boston now. I don't care who wants to come play with us, who doesn't want to play with us. I have faith in the coach to be able to put a scheme together for us to win, and I'm ready to ride. Is that kind of the mindset now that you're back in being the face of one of the most historical basketball franchises in the history of the game?
You know what? I think for me, it's like I've been on just focused on trying to get myself the strongest, the fastest, the quickest I've ever been, and not worrying about other things right now. There's, like you said, man, the NBA, it's things can change like overnight. And so the draft, who knows what's going to happen. You got to really control what you can control. And for me, that's getting in there every morning, getting my work, my lift, doing my rehab when I'm at home, really trying to be, really diligent about that stuff. And at the end of the day, it doesn't, for me, I'm just trying to help us win basketball games. I came to Boston to try to win an NBA championship, and that's still the ultimate goal. And, whether or not it's, it doesn't matter to me who's at the face of the team or anything like that. Like you said, we trust the organization to put a team together that can try to help us do that. And I trust, the coaching staff and everybody that I'm working with. And like I said, man, I'm super excited to get back at it again next year.
Who's some people or some players on the Celtics, because you got to watch a lot of the practices, I assume, and got to watch a lot whenever you're injured, and even last year as you're trying to get back in it. Who are some younger players that Celtics fans should be excited about that are going to potentially get some shine this upcoming year?
Well, I think, everybody saw a lot of our younger players in action. We had our team was so deep. I think throughout the year, I think different guys had different times where they really shine. I think certainly, like you just said, I don't know what our team's going to look like come next season. But I have had a chance. Rob Williams has been in the gym with me this summer, and I think he's somebody that, as long as he continues to work, there's definitely an adjustment when you are in college, and then when you get to the NBA, you got to learn how to have the right work ethic and how to be a professional. And I think he's somebody where the sky's the limit for him, man. He's long and athletic, jumps effortlessly up, to block shots or to catch lobs. And he's somebody that I've been in the gym with. And, I'm hoping that he continues to work and continues to progress. And I think he can be, a monster.
Do you have you get green text message? So do you have the internet on your phone?
Do you ever look at reviews for phones or anything like that, or you just like blindly go into the Apple store and just pick the newest thing? Like, that's what you're about?
Yeah, I am blindly walking right towards the Apple, and I don't like the Tim Cook era here. I'm a Steve Jobs guy. I've been around since Terrible Dad Steve Jobs was running the whole thing. Brilliant mind. But do you follow along with the drama, or are you one of those guys who kind of lives in your own world and doesn't read the press clippings or anything like that?
You're talking about the NBA, or?
Yeah, I'm talking about NBA. And I say this as a person who literally lives on the internet. The NBA has more bullshit associated with it whenever it comes to egos and drama, and then talking heads making up storylines, and then this happening and this happening. Do you follow along with any of that, or do you kind of just live in your own world? I got 45 kids. I just got to get better at basketball.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I have a Twitter and I have an Instagram, and you'll see me post every once in a while, but I also have, people that help me with that stuff. And so I had to get off of Twitter, especially when I got injured. That was one of the things for me is I was on Twitter and I was, reading what people are saying and the Instagram comments and all this stuff. And, I was talking with a sports psychologist, and we both kind of were like, let's just get you off of that stuff. Like, so I don't follow any of that anymore. Like, I don't read any of the articles about our team. I a lot of times, like, I have friends like text me and say, hey, did you just see this happen? I was like, no, I didn't. Like, you want to fill me in? Like, I don't look at it at all. I'm looking at Disney World and what are the best rides that my girls are going on, and what's the height requirement, which one's going to bitch the most of this or that, and that's the stuff that I'm focused on. So it's something that I just got to stay away from, the basketball side.